Okay, Assalamualaikum and a very good day to Madam Mazurai. So in today's video presentation, our group will be presenting our part for the assignment of budgeting. So firstly, let's talk about the table of content, which is business background, background of business, organizational structure, budgeting statements, budgeting working, and also conclusion. So our group consisting of me, Faris Azlin, and also Ikmal Fikri, Siti Aisyah, and lastly Hilal Husna. And each of our members will be presenting their very own part. So take it away with Aisyah for the business background.
Thank you, Faris. Assalamualaikum, Madam. I will explain briefly about our company background. So in studying the market, we found out that tuition center has a very bright future, and thus we started to plan in starting a business. We experienced in educating, so we determined to run a business in the field of teaching services. So our goal to open a tuition center with the objective of the best quality education services to students of all ages to achieve their success in UPSR, PT3, SPM, MUET, matriculation, and A-level. We decided to name our tuition center as Cemerlang Tuition Center. The tuition center was established since 2018 and located at 3 Jalan Renang 13/26, Section 13 Shah Alam. Because it was strategically located in the heart of Section 13, where schools and universities are nearby. Cemerlang Tuition Center's mission is to provide the best academic services and resources that encourage the development of skills and behaviors that will help all students improve their knowledge and academic independence by our teaching staff contributions. And lastly, our vision is to help students to build the foundation of their future success by helping them to become independent learners. Also, to cultivate the students to explore their full potential to boost their self-confidence and morale in order to realize their dreams. Next, I will pass to my friend Husta.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurul Hilal binti Muhammad Fazil. I will continue for the part organizational chart. Okay, for the CEO, is Mr. Faris Azlin. Is a founder and the CEO of the company. Followed by me as a personal assistant, and then Mr. Ikmal Fikri bin Muhammad Rafi as director of company, and then Ms. Siti Aisyah binti Zulkifli as the head of department, and followed by the accounting and finance department, marketing department, and operational department. Okay, as you know, CEO is responsible for leading the development and implementation of the long-term strategy of the company to the overall success of the company. He will focus on how to manage resources, risk, and returns in a company as opposed to looking at competitive advantages in business strategies with the aim of increasing equity value. CEO responsibility is communicating on behalf of the company and the public. And then we go to for the personal assistant role, that is wish to have a deep know how to cooperation and recognize who the important thing employees are, as they may be representing a senior member of workforce. Me also be consist of tracking reporting supervisors electronic mail and responding if required, making ready communications on behalf of a supervisor and answering phone calls. And then for the director of the company, he will like was an agent of the corporation and the being a principal as with the aid of using the acts of its agents. while we count his powers. The director owes a fiduciary responsibility toward the corporation and carry out proper purpose and act in good faith for the benefit of the company. The director also have to simply take into account the pursuit of the enterprise and no one else no longer even his personal private hobby or the shareholders hobby. And then we go through the head of department is responsible for liaising with existing staff, with members, managers, supervisors, and clients in order to achieve set goals, observing, analyze, and offering suggestion on current operations, the scheduling meetings and training session with the staff and other stakeholders, and assisting with recruitment, training, and onboarding process.
Hi, my name is Ikmal Fikri. I'm going to present about budgeting statements. So the first agenda is pattern of collection for sales. So 60% of sales are cash sales paid at the end of the month. So the remaining 40% are credit sales paid in the following month. So the next month. So the second agenda is space provided for rental amounted at 20,000 ringgit must be collected at the end of each month. So purchase, next is purchase value of each month. As it stated on the screen right now, January 90,000 ringgit, February 70,000 ringgit, March 60,000 ringgit, April 100,000 ringgit, May 50,000 ringgit, and also June 80,000 ringgit. The pattern of payment for the purchases is 50% of cash payment is at the end of the month. So the remaining 50% is divided by 2, which is both of them is credit payment. So 70% of credit payment is paid in the following month. So the remaining credit payment, which is 30%, is paid in the next 2 months. So the fourth agenda is business expenses. So rental of premises at 80,000 ringgit paid at the end of each month. Second, insurance at 10,000 ringgit paid at the end of each month. Third, monthly transfer to fixed deposit in Maybank at 15,000 ringgit. And most important is wages. So as is stated, January 19,000 ringgit, February 20,000 ringgit, March 22,000 ringgit, April 20,000 ringgit, May 25,000 ringgit, and also June 24,000 ringgit. So wages are paid 80% at the end of each month. So the remaining 20% is paid in the next month. Number 5, overhead expenses. That is included by depreciation of machinery, which is 1,000 ringgit monthly. So January 5,000 ringgit, February 6,000 ringgit, March 6,000 ringgit, April 8,000 ringgit, May 4,000 ringgit, and also June 5,000 ringgit. So the last agenda is dividend received amounted at 10,000 ringgit to be received in April only. Thank you.
All right. So now we will be proceeding with the budgeting working for the statement that had been explained beforehand. So this is the final working of the whole month from January until June for the company of Cemerlang Tuition Center. So first things first, as being stated by the question that had been given by Madam, obviously, Madam mentioned that the opening cash balance for the company during April is 16,205 ringgit. So we use the figures that had been explained before on the sales, whereas the sales for the month of April is 320,000, and 60% of the actual sales will be in cash form. Thus, 60% times 320,000, which results in 192,000 ringgit. And as for the remaining, it will be carried forward as an credit sales for the month of May. So it's like every month will be forwarded the remaining balance payment towards the next month. So as you can see here, from the month of April, the remaining will be paid in the month of May, whereas the month of May, the remaining 40% of credit sales will be paid in June. Next, we have the space rental that we had rented to other tenants that obviously wanted to use the space provided at 20,000 ringgit per month. Thus, every month must receive 20,000 ringgit. And then we also mentioned lastly just now is the dividend received, where 10,000 ringgit are going to be received for the company as an investment of the company in the month of April. So we calculate all of these figures over here into the point of B, which is total receipts. Then we sums up the amount in A with B, and then we got the C, which is the total cash available for the company. Next, we will be proceeding with the payments that the company had to pay for each particular month. And firstly, and obviously, definitely would be the purchase of materials to be used by the company. And in the month of April, 100,000 ringgit, May 50,000 ringgit, and June is 80,000 ringgit. Being mentioned before about the pattern of the payment of purchase, firstly is the cash payment of 50%, which is going to be paid at the end of the month of its purchase, which is here in April is 100,000 ringgit. So 50% of that 100K is going to be paid at the end of the month. And next we have the credit payment, which is 70% of the 50% remaining will be paid in the next month, and the remaining 30% will be paid in the next 2 months. So as you can see, from the month of April, the first cash payment will be paid in the April month, and the credit payment, which is 70%, are going to be paid in the month of May, whereas the remaining credit payment of 30% will be paid in the month of June. So next, we'll proceed with the premise rental, which is the business expenses of 80,000 ringgit per month. Thus, every month, the company must pay 80,000 ringgit in terms of premise rental. And next, we have the overhead expenses. Now, over here, when we talk about the overhead expenses, from the from the statement before, it had been mentioned that 5,000, 6,000 each particular month of overhead expenses are inclusive of depreciation. However, we must exclude the depreciation in order for us to pay for the overhead of each month. And as been mentioned also, the overhead expenses are going to be paid at the end of the month of the payment. So firstly, we must minus every single one of them by 1,000, and only then we will be getting the amount of payment for the overhead. Next expenses is the insurance, in which 10,000 ringgit per month. And then we have the wages, where the wages had been mentioned before in the statement. 80% of the wages are going to be paid at the end of the month, while the remaining 20% are going to be paid in the following month, which is the next month. And lastly, the last expenses for the company of Cemerlang Tuition Center is actually a fixed deposit in Maybank at 15,000 ringgit per month. Thus, we sums up all the payments amount here into this particular column, and then we will be getting total payments. And lastly, the final step is actually we must minus the total cash available by the total payments, and only then we will be getting the closing cash balance for this month. And for the month of April, the closing cash balance of April will be the opening cash balance for May, And also for the closing cash balance of May will be the opening cash balance for June. And since the question only asked us to prepare this overview of cash balance budgeting for the second quadrant of the company, which is from April until June. So that's it for the general overview of the company. And now we will be proceeding with the conclusion of our presentation.
So for the conclusion of our project, we did not believe that cash budget will be as accurate as possible within the upcoming years because there will be delay between making the sales and receiving the cash. Then sales revenue do not necessarily equal with cash inflow, and a healthy profit does not necessarily mean a healthy cash flow. The benefits of budgeting should never be underestimated, where budgeting guarantees that cash is allotted to the ones matters that aid that the strategic targets of the commercial enterprise. The method of making a price range gives possibilities contain personnel, ensuring in them sharing the organization's imaginative ambitions and uh, savvy in reviewing and evaluating the price range with actuals can offer facts that highlights the strengths and weaknesses of the commercial enterprise. So that's all from us. Thank you.